Hey everybody, it's Cheryl J. Moses here. If you don't know who I am, I help thought leaders create brands that are purpose driven and pay driven so they can make an impact and generate sustainable income. And so, in a nutshell, I help build a brand that pays. And what I want to do for you today is kind of like a part two to what I did last week when I was talking about your messaging and the clarity around your messaging and really using that as part of your foundation so that you can build this year. And I want to talk a little bit about that. And this is kind of just a follow up to that. But we're going to just go through some of the steps again. And I really just want you to get clear on this because this is going to set the tone for the rest of the year and beyond. All right. So now we know that unclear branding costs you more than just opportunities, it costs you trust, connection, and revenue. So we want to change that today. Now, if you ever felt stuck when you're trying to explain what you do, I know I've been there, or you feel like your audience just doesn't get it. I think sometimes we question ourselves if we're putting out content, if we're trying to be relatable and the things that we're doing, things that we're putting out, if people aren't getting it, right? We kind of question ourselves. Do they really get me? They're not responding the way I want them to respond, things like that. And we can overthink it sometimes, but sometimes there really is a way that we need to tweak some things or go back in and kind of revamp things and say, hey, my messaging, it's a little off. It needs some help, right? It needs some editing done or something needs to happen because people aren't responding the way that I want them to. So sometimes we do need to go back in and ask ourselves those questions to see if we need to change some things. But you're not alone if that's happening. And the great thing about that is that we can fix it. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to uncover your brand's purpose, craft the message that's clear, and also how you can use it to connect to your ideal audience. All right, which is super, super important. All right, so here's why clarity is critical. Now, imagine someone lands on your profile, they see your post, they read your post, they hear you speak, but they leave confused. And we know that confusion does not convert, it repels. We don't want people to repel unless they are somebody that we don't want to work with. They're not our ideal client. Those are the only people we want to repel. So we want to draw people in. We want to attract the right people to us. And so we can't let them be confused. All right. Now, if we talk about the ripple effects of a message that's unclear, we have a number of things going on here. We got missed opportunities. We got a personal brand that looks scattered, okay, because it's not resonating or building trust. And you feel like you're working hard, but you're not getting anywhere. You're not really gaining any traction. Okay. Now, let's say you have a launch coming up and you're doing some pre launch work, some pre launch marketing, and things like that. If you're doing that for a week, if you're doing it for 2 weeks and you're not seeing people respond the way you want them to, or the way you think they should be, then yes, you have to go back in and change some things because you don't want to be fully into a launch and nothing is happening. You're going to know when the sales come in. You're going to know if people are not signing up to your class, your webinar, your whatever it is you have going on. You're going to know if the message is not resonating. All right. So you have to pay attention to those things because, like I said, you don't want to be fully into something and nothing is happening. And then you're wondering, well, why didn't I make the money that I wanted to make? Because you should have went in earlier to tweak some things to change those things around. Maybe the outcome would have been a lot different. It would have been a lot better. All right. So if you're not, well, if you're blending in, I should say, if you're blending in, you're being, if you're blending in, you're being overlooked. That's a problem as well because we want to stand out. Wow, it's it's a lot that you can say about blending in and being overlooked, because I think a lot of people are going through this because, like I said, even before when I was talking last week, I was speaking about being in a sea of sameness, like seeing the same thing over and over and over again. Like we see that a lot because a lot of people are doing the same things, right? But how can we stand out? And honestly, I've always said you can stand out with your visuals, but you also can stand out with your perspectives and your insight on certain things, on certain issues. Okay. Um, Certain trends, certain things that are coming up in your industry. What is your perspective? What do you have to say about that? Are you disrupting? And I think those are the main things that will help you to stand out in this sea of sameness, right? So that people are looking at something from a different lens. Like you just bring that to them. Okay. So that kind of attracts people and gets their attention. And as far as the visuals go, you have to have really good visuals. We're doing some great things with AI. We're doing some great things, just bringing something more, just a lot more of up leveling in the visual aspect of things. I think that's what needs to happen, right? We don't want to go cheap on our visuals because it represents our brand. Okay. Your website is a digital extension of your brand, but your visuals speak to the emotions of people as well. So that needs to be taken into consideration. I've always said there's a big gap in education when it comes to branding. And if part of your building your personal brand is having great visuals, because that's just a part of what it is that you're doing. All right. So if you're being overlooked, your dreams and goals are maybe on pause for a little while, but you can fix that as well. And you need to do that ASAP. Okay. Yeah. Because we don't want anything on pause. We want to keep going and going and going, because we're trying to reach new levels. We're trying to build legacies, right? We're on a mission. Everybody is on a mission. All right. We're still at the beginning of the year. Like it's time for it to happen. Okay. So you want to ask yourself these 3 questions. I think I have 3 written down here to define your purpose. All right. So we want to get that out the way. And sometimes, like I said, we need to go back in. Okay. You may have done this before. You may have answered these types of questions before. That's totally fine. If it's 3 months, 6 months down the line and you need to go back in and redo it, then do that. Okay. Because sometimes things evolve. Right. So the first question is, what do you do better than anyone else? That's an obvious answer. Okay. At this point, it should be an obvious answer. Now, why does it matter to the people you want to solve? You want to serve, excuse me. Why does it matter? All right. What impact do you want to create with your work? These are all great questions to ask, that we need to go in and ask ourselves from time to time, especially when we're in doubt of what's happening. Like if we're looking at what's happening around us, we're not getting the results we want, we got to go back in. Okay. Now, I spoke about visuals and your branding. I used to design graphics. I still design graphics, but I would never really say I was a graphic designer. I could say I'm a graphic designer. I could say that. But how does that sound? A lot of people are graphic designers. Right? How does that sound? You see how it just blends in with everything else? But if I say I help small businesses stand out online with stunning visuals that increase engagement and sales, look how elevated that sounds. That makes a lot more sense as far as me trying to resonate with people that I want to serve, people that I want to pay me to help them. It makes it makes a bigger deal. Okay. So your purpose is the heart of your brand. It's the why that keeps you going and makes your audience care. Your audience knows that you care when they see what you put out there, because all of this is energetic. So they're going to know because it's going to come through in your content. All right. So I have a formula for you to craft your core message: who you help, plus the problem you solve, plus the transformation you provide. Very simple. 3 things, right? If you can nail that, That's all you need to do. Now, here's an example. I help female entrepreneurs overcome imposter syndrome so they can confidently grow their businesses. That covers all three of those. Here's another one. I empower solopreneurs to streamline their marketing and scale their revenue effortlessly. Okay. So we see how those are different, but they cover all three of those parts of the formula. All right. So write your core message in one sentence, then test it. All right. Test it. Um, Ask yourself, does this make me feel confident? Does it clearly show the value I bring? Those are very good questions to ask yourself. Okay. Oh, my nose is itching. Sorry. Oh, okay. All right. So step 3 is you want to align your actions with your message. Okay, so update your LinkedIn profile, your website, your bios, any other profiles you have on social media. Update those accordingly. All right. Make sure it's reflecting your core message, and you want to post content that reinforces your brand's purpose. All right, everything needs to be aligned. So, because once you get this core message down, everything else is going to come a lot easier. All right. So you're going to post your content that is going to be aligned with the brand message and your brand's purpose. All right. And you're going to show up as the person your message describes. Right. Be authentic, be aligned. You're never going to have to question yourself when you show up as your authentic self. Okay. Because that's who you are. Right. Oh, so yeah. I remember one client I had. Oh, my nose is itching so bad. I'm so sorry. One client I had, she was struggling to explain her services. And she struggled with her message, but she struggled to explain her services as well. But she ended up landing a 10K deal monthly. Okay. After after she cleaned up the profile, her posts and everything. But once she cleaned up the profile, once she got her her core message down, it was easier for her to actually come up with the content. Now, the thing about her was that she came to me, she was only doing referrals. Now, referrals are great, but at some point they were drying up for her. All right. So it was like, oh, I need another way. I need another avenue, some type of marketing I need to do to draw people in, because I don't have another way outside of referrals. And this is what was happening. So we had to clean all these things up. We had to connect all the dots in her branding so that she had that foundation set and solid. Okay. So she needed to know how to speak to people. She needed to be more confident in everything she was doing, everything she was putting out. And once she did that, she was able to get this 10K deal. And what is that? 6 figures for increasing her bottom line. So this is so important. This is everything when you're clear, because people know exactly what to do. They know exactly what to expect from you. They know what they want, and they know that you can give it to them. Okay, so that's really all the thing is when we're talking about clarity, and I want to enforce that. Okay, with your brand's message. All right, so let's recap the key points here. Clarity isn't just about words, it's about aligning your purpose, message, and actions to build a brand that resonates. Yes, yes, yes. Write down your one sentence core message today. All right, share it in the comments. You could DM me for feedback. It's totally fine. I'm willing to do that because I want you to have this down. Like I said, this is going to set the tone for the rest of the year. You're going to be able to build, connect, and collect revenue. Once you have this messaging down, it's up from there. All right. And also, to help you take the next step, I did create a brand clarity worksheet. You can DM me to get that. I can probably post the link, but if not, I will definitely get it to you because I just created it like over the weekend. So I want you to have that if you need help with this process. But yeah, it's really just about going back in, looking at your profiles, seeing if it resonates, seeing if it needs some tweaks, seeing if it need, what you need to take out, put in, or whatever. If you go to mine, you'll see it's right there in the description. So it can be in your headline, it can be in your description. It doesn't matter where it's at, as long as people see it, as long as it's front and center for people to actually see it, because people want to know who you are. People want to know how you can help them, if you're the right person to help them. Okay. Like I said, we absolutely want to repel the ones that we don't want to help, but we want to draw in the ones that we do. All right, guys. So thank you so much for being here. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Don't forget to sign up for my next class that I'm having, my free webinar that I'm having. And if you have questions and you want to come there and ask them, that's totally fine. But if not, just DM me and we'll get those questions answered. All right. Take care. I will see you next time.